Hello. Last day of the year. Whoa, I couldn't make it last week before Christmas. Christmas was a bit of a COVID fueled time. I've got dressed today. I've been pretty poorly. Went to see, well, it was my eldest daughter's birthday on the 16th, so she came round with the children and present swap. Then packed. The next day was the Friday, and madly did some present wrapping. Met up at lunch with some friends for our present swap meeting, as we do. And as soon as I got home, packed all the bags in the car and drove off 250 miles to Wiltshire. Well, we didn't drive all that way actually, because my husband had been at work and he was a bit tired. So what we did was we drove to Gloucester and we stayed in a hotel, and he got a good night's sleep. And then in the morning after breakfast, we drove the rest of the way to Wiltshire. She lives within walking distance of Stonehenge, and it's quite a journey. It takes us 5 hours minimum, really. More than that if you count stopping at services and actually walking about, stretching your legs and sitting down to drink your coffee. Anyway, we got to hers late morning and we had a lovely stay. We gave her all her presents off everybody, and we left the next day because my husband didn't have any days holidays left. So we got there on the Saturday. We stayed overnight, which is lovely. It's lovely staying at hers. I love it in the morning. My husband gets up early like he does all the time, and he goes downstairs and makes a coffee and gets involved with breakfast and things. Oh, just turning down my new CD. I hope you can't hear it. So I stay in bed for perhaps 20 minutes before my daughter decides to come and make sure I'm awake. And in come her dogs, and they come bouncing in and they bound on the bed and they try and lick me. And I love it. I love having the dogs so glad to see me, and I love having just that 20 minutes or so to talk to my daughter, because I don't see very much of her. I don't know how long ago it was she got married. 3, nearly 4 years ago, probably. And she married a soldier, so she lives down there in Wiltshire, on Salisbury Plain. So we have video chats, but it's only recently. That's perhaps the 3rd time I've seen her this year. And I only saw her once the year before, because of COVID and lockdown. Anyway, we left probably lunchtime, just before lunch. Well, actually, it's probably more like 10:30, 11 o'clock. And we drove home. It feels like months ago. I'm really struggling to remember what the weather... Oh, it was foggy. That's what it was. It was foggy. We had perhaps an hour of blue sky and lovely weather in the country, because she lives in the country. Where I live, you don't really know what country is until you get far, far away, where you drive for 100 miles on an A road and just see country. In fact, it was quite interesting, really, because there was lots of sheep in the harvested fields eating the bits that was the bits that were still stuck out the ground. They must like eating bits of chopped off veggies, corn or something. It didn't look very edible, so I suppose they must nibble it down before they plough it in or something. I've never seen that before. Anyway, yes, coming home it was foggy. Going there, we drove on the motorway in the dark, and he didn't want to drive through all those country lanes where it's open limit and you don't know where you are and there's no street lights at all. We go through about 3 villages, for about another 100 miles. So yeah, that's why we stayed in the hotel and we set off to hers in the morning. And it was a very nice visit. It was a very nice drive actually from Gloucester to where she lives. Anyway, we came home in the fog and everything, and that was on the Sunday, and he went to work on the Monday like you do, and he phoned me up about 10 o'clock and he said, guess what I'm doing? And I thought, well, I don't know, you're at work, something electrical. No, he says, I'm on my way home. He works for the NHS, and he'd had his Monday morning COVID test and it had come back positive. So he came home, I did one. I'd done one, we'd been doing them all weekend. I'd done one on the Sunday, it was negative, and he hadn't because he was having one at work. And yeah, so he came home, we arranged for him to, no, we didn't. He'd had his PCR at work and he had an LFT while he was there, and the LFT was positive, so they sent him home and his PCR came back positive, and I was fine. And I woke up on the Tuesday morning with a sore throat, did an LFT, positive. So that was the start of it, and it really was like having flu. I was totally knocked out. Oh God, even my skin hurts, my slippers hurt, the skin on the sides of my feet. Sneezing, coughing, yeah. Running nose. Anyway, we had a rotten week because, of course, we had to isolate then, and I'm still in isolation actually until midnight tonight. So I'm free to go out tomorrow. I've not done an LFT today. Yesterday it was still positive. I mean, you know, when they say 10 days isolation and then you can go out, can you still go out even if you still have a positive LFT? I don't know. Anyway, so then my daughter in Wiltshire, she phones us up. They're positive as well. So, you know, they weren't too ill. They're young. Well, actually, her husband was quite ill. He was ill with sickness and diarrhea. I've had an upset tummy. I was sick once, but that was just because I was coughing so much until I was sick. Well, something's been fine really. He's just been tired. He's been sleeping for about 14 hours a day, which is really weird because he gets up at like 4:30. You know, he's had his night's sleep by then, and he's been asleep until 10 or 11 in the morning. So, we didn't have Christmas. You know, we didn't take any presents anywhere because, well, we were isolated anyway. Nobody wanted to come and take Jeremy presents off us. So, my other daughter I've not seen with her children. I've not seen her since her birthday on the 16th. We've had the odd 5-minute chat. I've not really been well. Anyway, the weekend, her and her husband, well, the weekend was Christmas, wasn't it? I don't know when it was, Sunday or Monday, they tested positive. Who knows where we've all got it from? I don't know. My daughter, who lives far away, her husband thinks he got it from his works night out. I mean, we're all vaccinated, you know. My husband and I are triple vaccinated. Both my daughters are double vaccinated, and in the army, of course, they're vaccinated. My daughter that lives nearby, her 2 children were poorly. Anyway, I thought I had better come out and let you know where I've been. Oh, I've been having such fun. Anyway, I've started another crochet cardigan. I didn't like the pattern, so I'm doing my own thing. Not sure I remember what my own thing is because I started it so long ago. My piece of fabric that I'm going to applique flowers all over, I've started the vines, as you can see. Let's fold it up and I'll show you a quarter of it. Of course, it's not a complete quarter. I've still got more to do, so I'm going to put the vines on there. I have got some, you know, I was saying that I needed to find some kind of grungy green. Well, I found some grungy greens. Yeah, that kind of goes, doesn't it? That's grungy green. Here's another one. I think really the proper name is khaki. This is a different one. As you can see, it's different to that one, but they both still go. They are different. They don't look very different, but they are. And I've decided to put a couple of brighter ones in. I found a piece of fabric here. You see this piece of fabric? It's got like pinks and grungy greens, and I thought maybe that's not the right piece of fabric. I did find a piece of fabric with a brighter green in. Maybe that's it. Yeah, that's better. And I've got a little piece of that to stick in because I thought it would bring out the blue in the blue petals. And last of all, this grungy green. So I've got those grungy greens and this nicer brighter green, and a couple of blues, and this. So they're all for me leaves, and I've got all my flowers, and I'm nearly ready to start putting the leaves and the flowers on my vines. What else have I done? I've had some deliveries. I've had this delivered today. I bought this specifically to go with a peacock wall hanging I'm making on behalf of my quilt group. We all did, well, I didn't, they did it before, well, when I wasn't there. You see, I used to go 25 years ago, and then when my children got old enough and I went back to work, I stopped going because it was held in the day. And anyway, a few years ago, when I found myself free in the days, I joined up again. And they made these like teardrop embroideries as a group, and then they said, what shall we do with them? So we decided we would make a peacock, and I'll show you when it's done. But I bought this fabric for doing a border around the edge because I wanted it to look you know, like a frame, like a picture frame, and that kind of ties in. Anyway, I'll show you that when it's done. I've had these fabrics delivered. This again I bought second hand. They're rosewood. Now the other week I was showing you a fabric, and it's by the same people, and see how that goes, doesn't it? And that isn't rosewood, that's chocolate, that's called, I think, for Moda, Three Sisters chocolate. But you know how they use the same colours in these things. So anyway, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. We'll have to see. What else have I done? Oh, these are Christmas presents that I have had from my faraway daughter, my near to daughter. We haven't seen her to do any present exchanges yet. It's calf facet blues and greens, and some calf facet pinks. So I have done, in fact, she bought me something very similar last year, and I made a quilt, which I've got here, not on purpose, but she sent me some calf facet and some tulip pink, and I made this ginormous quilt, which is too big for me to quilt, really. So I've decided I'm going to pull it all to pieces and quilt it in quarters. Can you see? Anyway, I've also decided today that I'm going to get my husband to rig something up behind me, and each time I do a video I'm going to hang up a different quilt just behind me to show you. I'm going to start with the ones that I've finished before I get onto the ones that are just tops, flimsies, as a lady in my group calls them. What else have I got to tell you? Nothing much. I'm feeling a lot better now. I'm not you know, fully recovered or anything. I'm pretty worn out, really, even though I've not been doing anything. My husband is too. Thank goodness we've had the vaccines, and you know, we didn't go anywhere without a mask, and and our, you know, hand washing and everything. I've been fairly isolated. Although, you know, we did go and stop in a hotel, although we weren't anywhere near the other people when we had our evening meal. Way more than 6 foot away from other people. You know, the waitresses had masks on. We only went in the services to, you know, use the facilities and buy a coffee, and we drank them in the car. I went to a funeral, but that was all socially distanced and masked up and everything as well, I think. I mean, our next door, when we were going away to my daughter's, my husband went next door to tell them that we were going away, and my daughter would be looking in on the cat, but if they heard any kind of noises of moving furniture, to look out the window because we weren't there. And he knocked on the door and they answered it, and the lady in the house said, "Oh, we've got COVID." So he stepped back. He wasn't anywhere near them anyway, but maybe it whooshed out the door, you know. It's very catching. Anyway, I don't have to worry about getting it anymore, do I? I just have to hope I don't go downhill, which I'm sure I won't. Oh, yes, and I've got something to show you. I did tell you I was going to film the things I was making for people who might be watching. Well, those people are my 3 friends, were the 4 of us, and I bought them teapots for one. You know, where you have a teacup and a teapot, and you take the teapot off and pour your tea out. And anyway, I bought them some biscuits as well, and I made them tea cozies. So this is the sort of thing I made them, little tea cozies, and this is different on each side. But I made them out of different fabrics. But this was my prototype that I made. Well, I made it, you know, before COVID. A friend, my friend and I, we used to go out every week and have tea in a local lounge, and we thought, you know, these teapots, they go cold because we're talking so much. So I made little tea cozies to go over our teapots, which, you know, probably only used them twice before we were all in lockdown. Anyway, I made them all tea cozies, and I was going to show you, but that didn't happen. And we're having our Christmas dinner today, actually. The turkey's in the oven. We're having it, you know, later in the day. Because I just shoved everything in the freezer. You know, we were going to have family round and a bit of a buffet on Boxing Day. It's all still in the freezer. What can you do? Anyway, I've spent a good 10 days not being well. This is the second day that I've got dressed. The last time was about 4 days ago, and I only lasted a few hours. I was exhausted. I feel much better today. Anyway, I'm going to leave you there, and hopefully I'll be even feeling more better, and I'll let you know how things are going next week. I hope you all had a lovely Christmas, and of course today is the last day of 2021, so Happy New Year, and see you next year in 2022. Let's hope it's better. Bye.